Hi everybody, my name is Norm and this is Issue 12 Gaming, which is a new channel I've just created. I'm not normally a person who does gaming videos or, to be honest, videos of any sort, but I've been playing the heck out of a game called Planet Zoo. And if you're finding this video, I suspect you may love this game as much as I do, but if you just happen to stumble in here blindly through some miracle of the algorithm, stop and take a look, guys, for real. It's a great game, and I encourage everybody to try it out. I've been following a lot of creators on YouTube who have been posting just some amazing creations in Planet Zoo, and it's inspired me to kind of up my game in terms of how I was originally playing the game, which was just really basic level. And although I don't think that my stuff is anywhere near the level of some of these big channels by any stretch of the imagination, I think that if you're playing the game and you've done something that you're proud of, and that is a progression creatively for you from what you were doing before, and maybe has an idea or two that you think other people might find interesting or inspiring, then I think that you should just post it. And I resisted doing so for a while, simply because it's not something I normally do, and I really have no idea what I'm doing, as you'll probably figure out by the time this video is done. But I think that it's great for the community, for everyone to just get their stuff out there and get people's opinions, get some ideas flowing, get some inspiration going, and see what we can do. So I'm going to take you through the zoo. The basic theme of the zoo is tropical, vaguely South American, Central American. I have a couple of nieces that are adopted from Guyana, and so I kind of tried to do a zoo in their honor. So I'll start by talking about the basic layout of the zoo. And I struggled when I first started playing this game on how to lay out the various elements of the zoo. I really couldn't quite figure out a good way to do it so that the zoo functioned in the game and worked. And so I follow a channel called Paulsley. If you're not following Paulsley, you're crazy. The guy puts out amazing content. He's an incredibly creative builder, so his habitats and buildings and so forth that he does are really amazing. He puts out some really helpful tutorial videos, which have, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing in this game. I knew so little about this game, apparently, when I started watching his channel, that there was entire sections that I was like, I didn't even know you could do that in this game. I didn't know that was possible. And so it really helps. And he had, in that vein, put out a tutorial on how to do a starting layout. And it works really well. If you're just starting a franchise from scratch and you're not sure how to map out everything, this is the perfect way. And it's so good that I've actually continued it throughout my zoo to varying degrees. So basically, you come in the front here, you have an area in the center. I've turned it into a fountain, but he had originally had shops in there to start. I just was a dumbass and couldn't figure out how to do the pathing properly, if I'm being honest. So I cheated and just put the shops down here. You've got seating areas on either side. You have two large enclosures for habitats on either side, and he shows you how to do these cool raised platforms, which are amazing. And I've kept them in all of mine. And then you have a central area for staff. And this, to me, was the biggest problem, because you have that zone of annoyance that pops up where guests just freak out when they see a staff building for some reason, and it's really difficult to figure out, how am I going to place all my staff buildings? If you follow his tutorial and you place them carefully into the square, you'll never have any intersecting with any of the paths. So it works like a charm. And then you just build out your habitats backwards from here. You build it out from this central point, and for the first part of the game, before your zoo gets absolutely colossal, it's fantastic. It's invaluable. So definitely check out, I'll try and put a link to the video into the description for you, but definitely check Paulsley out, and in particular this video. So in terms of the actual zoo itself, as I mentioned, I put a little statue in here at the top. The water effects in this game are fantastic. I am terrible at them, so note that you get the idea. There's water coming out. But these look much nicer when people that are smarter than I are doing them. So there's lots of tutorials out there in terms of how to place these features. I'm just thick as a brick, and I can't quite figure it out properly. So this could look better. But I wanted to go for a nice simple design. This looks really nice when it's all lit up at night. and I think it's a nice kind of central feature. I put these seating areas on the side, which I mean, they're fairly simple, but I think they turned out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with them. I like the fabric roof. It kind of gives kind of an outdoor bazaar, or you know, like a almost like a nouveau camping or something. And these round tables, I think they look pretty cool. I'm happy with them. Now, coming around here to these buildings, these were actually the first thing that I built in this zoo, and they set the tone because I've, again, watching Paulsley and watching some of these other creators, they really harp on putting in details, more details, put in a bunch of details and then look back and then do great and then put in more details. All of these things are going to help. So we have just, you know, awnings with little things above them here. We have soil under the path, which I know that Paulsley is completely obsessed with, as he is with staff doors. You put in a staff door. Now, do they need a staff door? No, they hop in it above the counter. But it makes the zoo feel alive. Instead of it, I mean, when I was starting, I'd plop down an information booth, I'd put up a couple of walls and a roof, and, you know, stick a potted plant in the front, and there you go. Congratulations. But it's way more satisfying once you put in the effort to put in roof trims, to put in windows and doors and lighting and foliage and custom, you know, pathing and all the rest of this stuff, like an air conditioner. They don't need an air conditioner. It's not real, but it makes the game feel real. And then I found that once I had done these buildings, these are just carbon copy of each other, and you can see they've got bathrooms down the back, by the way. But once I did these buildings, I was really proud of these, and I thought these are great. And I know these aren't the most spectacular things ever, but to me, they encouraged me in my next portion of the zoo that I did to up my game that little bit more. And you find that the more you build in here, the higher your level goes. And so I find now, when I look back on some of the stuff that I did earlier in the zoo, or certainly in earlier zoos that I had tried, they're just trash. I just hate, you know, they were perfect when I did them, and then, you know, you build 3 habitats in between, and you go back to it, and you go, oh my god, this is a hot mess. So, if you're doing it right, you're constantly getting better, and that's the important thing. So, staff areas. What I did for here, again, because I was going for a South American zoo, I was taking a look on Google Images, which is a great resource for anyone who's looking for inspiration on how to design your buildings. And there were these buildings in, I believe it was Colombia, and they were these like colonial style with really bright colors and different levels, and they had these cool archways on the ground floor, and I thought these are beautiful. And so I just covered up all my staff buildings with these, and it's turned what normally would just be, you know, a block of boring staff buildings into something which is a genuine feature, and it adds a lot of color and character to the zoo. And I love these. I mean, they're not fantastically complicated, but I tried to, you know, have different height levels. I had different roof treatments. I have different details. There are, you know, all around the ground. We've got, you know, here's a little fruit cart. Here's a little thing. Just little touches that make it look like a real zoo. You know, there's always something interesting to look at. But at the same time, it is still a completely functional staff room. A staff area. We have the staff rooms all in here. Everybody can work. And I think it turned out really well. I'm very happy with this building, actually. In terms of the habitats themselves, here we have the gharials. I went with kind of an Indian theme over here. There's a lot of great pieces that come standard in the game, guys, that you can really, really do some amazing things with. So I was really happy with how this turned out. We have an underwater viewing area, so as he's swimming through here, we can take a look and watch. I find the guests don't use this very much, and I don't know whether I've just screwed something up or whether that's just a quirk of the game, because the game has lots of quirks, as you'll find out. But it's still, you know, if you're going to have swimming animals, you got to put in these underground swimming areas, guys, or viewing areas, rather. I think that they just add a different perspective. It's something great for the guests, and I like them personally. Over here we have the orangutans, and again, going back to Google image search, I was taking a look. I believe this is a hut design from Indonesia. I just loved it. It's got this weird curved pointy roof, and it's up on it's a 2-level up on stilts with a ramp leading up to the second level. So it's perfect for the orangutans because they can just shamble up on here and have a little nap over this way. I didn't put in too much climbing apparatus here for them. I want to just put a couple of climbable trees and keep things fairly basic. It meets their needs within the game, and they look adorable. Look at them climbing around. All right, over here we have the elephant exhibit. You'll find when you start watching creators for Planet Zoo on YouTube that waterfalls are fairly mandatory, so I decided I would give it a try. Again, my water skills are not fantastic, but you get the idea. There's water coming out there. Then you can recognize that as a rudimentary, maybe C+ level waterfall. And this actually is 2 habitats joined by this central area where they're having a little amble up there themselves. You walk through here and into the area where they have their sleeping pen. I went with kind of a London Zoo, European kind of brick and marble, old school style explorer type kind of zoo, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I think it looks quite nice. And again, we've got these areas over here for people to view from height. Over here we have my incredibly busy food court area. This building has 8 shops in total, 4 on each side. It had a very flat roof, which I wasn't happy about, so I built up this second level and put some foliage down, and I think that really kind of draws the eyes up and makes it look a little more interesting. It's still a little bit flat, so I think I might go back and change a few things. These are always, as you can see, just absolutely packed. I had to add in more shops later on, and it's still packed. There's just nothing I can do, so I'll just continue doing it. I mean, hey, it's money for me. I'm not going to complain. Again, going back to details, we have a staff door, we have a little path for them, we've got some foliage here. None of this necessary in any way, shape, or form, but it's part of what makes the game fun. You have all these details. It looks like an actual building that someone actually created for this purpose, and that's weirdly rewarding. I don't know how else to describe it. Finally, for habitats over here, I just created this. I'm not 100% finished this tiger enclosure. For instance, this is just the basic hard shelter, but I'm going to replace that with something custom. But again, I have a pool over here, and where there's a pool, do an underground viewing area. Inside, I was going for a very kind of Indian, kind of temple-y feel, I guess. Maybe not a temple, but Indian feel. I put in some... These water effects turned out a little better. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of pat on the back on that one. These turned out all right. We've got these weird, creepy tiger head statues, so I decided I would use them. And then on the outside, we just have some plants. We have some flags. We have some rugs on the wall. Just, I mean, nothing crazy, but all these little details add up to making it feel like a living, breathing zoo, which is the whole point of this. Now, going further into the zoo, we have a sunken area, which I wanted to try because I was having a lot of difficulty with it, so I wanted to challenge myself. So I did this huge sunken area for my lowland gorillas. One of the features in here that I like is that for all these large trees, I put in platforms. And so it's a lot of fun to watch the gorillas just kind of scramble up this ladder and have a chill out here at the top of the tree, you know, at a very unsafe height, really. I mean, realistically, I don't think they'd have this in a zoo, but, you know, hey, we're just messing around here. It's fun. I've got several of these platforms around, so they can hop up there. We have some platforms at the side for the guests to get in a little bit closer and take a look, because it is a large thing. I didn't want to do a bridge or a viewing platform that stuck too far out in there. I kind of like the idea of having just one big open space for them to scramble around in. I didn't make the foliage too crazy because I wanted to make sure that people could see them from different angles. This African hut they have to sleep in, it's 2-level. I was proud of it when I did it, and it's one of those things that, like, now that I've sat with it for a little bit, I kind of hate. So I might go back and change this. But you know what? That's good. It's showing progression, right? If you're proud of something and then you go back and you can see things you improve, that means that you've improved as a creator. So don't be afraid to tear everything down and rebuild it. As mentioned, I had to do a secondary area for food and drinks, etc. This also, again, is fairly busy. I kept it smaller. I didn't want to go as large as the previous one. I kept it reasonably in theme, and we put in just some nice foliage and, you know, staff doors and all the rest of it. Here's a little wheelbarrow with some soil. Maybe somebody was doing some gardening. Just little touches like this that just, you know, let you feel like it's an actual lived-in place, which is great. Where I went a little bit bananas is here, my lemur temple. Oof, that's some bright lights, but you get the idea. Yeah, so it's colossal. It's far too large, but it does look reasonably like kind of a Mayan Aztec temple, which is what I was going for. Here are the steps where they would do human sacrifices and hurl bodies down the steps. I obviously did not include that in the game. I think that would have been a little bit much for a zoo. I've put lots of ruins and knocked over columns here to make it look like it's been here for a long time. Same with all the vines along the side. I wanted it to kind of feel like maybe, you know, you've just kind of emerged from the jungle and found this and it's been sitting there for a couple of 1,000 years. Now, more importantly, we can go inside the temple and we have a walk-through lemur exhibit. You can see the lemurs scrambling around, I'm sure. We have lots of foliage in here. All these trees are climbable, so the lemurs can really have free rein to go everywhere they need to, although they're all hanging out right now, waiting for some food in the foraging pen, but that's all right. We have a little area over here for them to have a little nap, have a little snooze, and what we've done is I've added, you'll see it when I get up here, platforms. So we have stairs going all the way from the bottom up to the top, and at each level of stairs we have various platforms. So you can see the lemurs as they're climbing up this large vertical apparatus, and as they're climbing through the trees, no matter where they are, no matter how high they are, there's a platform that you can view them from, which I think is important for the guests. And again, it's taking advantage of this huge vertical space that we have inside the temple. Continuing along the ground path, this goes all the way around, so lots of opportunities to view the animals, lots of opportunities to donate some money, hint hint. And yeah, so that's great. If we come over here, and we'll go up the stairs so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of the viewing levels that they can look at them. But if you go all the way to the top, you will see that I have exhibits here as well. So keeping, excuse the camera work, guys, just take a Gravol and hold on for the ride. Keeping in the South American theme, all of these are South American animals in the exhibits. So we have lots of lizards, we have frogs and yellow anacondas and etc. And the event, again, I've put in some custom details here as well in terms of the exhibits themselves and the walls. The advantage of having the exhibits at the top of the temple is that it drives traffic through the temple. So the whole way up, they're going through the lemur exhibit. The whole way back, they're going through the lemur exhibit. And so there's lots of just adding opportunities for them to throw money in those donation boxes. So I think that's, from a game perspective, that's important to kind of drive traffic through other areas so that you have to maximize the opportunity to squeeze every last dime out of these suckers. I mean guests, sorry. And of course we have a glass roof, so we've got some natural sunlight that comes in. Some of that actually trickles down into the temple, which is nice as well. So that's the game for now, or rather that's the zoo for now. I'm still, as I say, I have to finish my tiger enclosure. I'm still not 100% happy with that one, but we're getting there. I have lots of areas to expand. And again, working on this starting layout, I've just replicated in these areas the exact same thing. These are the same sized enclosures. I've made a little bit of difference here by adding in this viewing area. There's obviously variance, but essentially you're keeping it to the same. Now, you don't have to do that. You can get as creative as you want to. I'm choosing to do that aesthetically for this zoo. On my future zoos, I have a lot of different things that I want to try and challenge myself with. I'm not very good at terrain work, so all of my enclosures are relatively flat, so I want to try and challenge myself by doing something crazier that way. I also want to kind of have more curving paths, less grid structure. It'll make things look a little more flowing. So again, not my strong suit, but that's the whole point. I'm not particularly good at it, so I want to get good at it, and the only way to do it is to give it a try. There's the temple in the day, by the way, so you can take a look and see what it looks like. Again, all the way around, it's the same thing. There was a lot of vine work here, guys. A lot of really tedious vine work. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, please forgive the suspect camera work. I've never done videos before. Hopefully I will get better at it if I do more. If there's other things that you'd like to see, please let me know. If there's any questions you have or things you'd like me to try, again, just drop a comment and let me know. If there's something you liked or something you hated or any comments of any sort, post them. I'd like to respond to them. Even the negative ones. Knock yourselves out, guys. I'm a big boy. I can take it. And most importantly, if you create something, send me a link. I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to get inspired by you. I want to see what you're doing. So send me a link if you've created something. If you haven't got a YouTube channel and you've never posted anything before, it's not that hard, guys. It took me like 15 minutes of Google searching and download a couple of free programs, and I've got this monstrosity out here for you to be watching. So again, hopefully my skills and all this stuff will get better. I'll ask my son. That's always a good start. All right, guys. So till next time, thanks a lot, and I will see you later.